Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors are looking for their second consecutive victory of the season, and today they will face the Denver Nuggets, and star Al Horford will be out by decision of the coaching staff. Despite possibly being the best one-on-one matchup for Golden State against Denver's all-time great center, the Warriors will not start their 39-year-old NBA champion big man Al Horford. It was already predetermined by the Warriors head coach Steve Kerr that the 19-year veteran would not suit up for back-to-backs throughout the 2025-26 campaign, but it appears that Kerr also wishes to keep him on a minutes restriction. In Golden State's season-opening 119-109 victory against Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, and the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday night, the five-time All-Star contributed 5 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 assist in 20 minutes of action, knocking down just 2 of his 7 attempts from the field in the process. Horford's age should certainly play a role with regard to the allocation of his minutes on a nightly basis, but an important early-season matchup against the league's most dominant center might warrant a few more short on-court stints. The Warriors will rely heavily on 2017 Defensive Player of the Year Draymond Green to take on the matchup, but his 6'6" frame may not serve him well against the bruising 6'11", 284-pound Jokic for extended stretches. Exist a possibility do Lakers contratar Bam Adebayo? A Bam Adebayo trade could become realistic for the Warriors. Adebayo is arguably the face of the Heat following the departure of 6x All-Star Jimmy Butler to the Warriors in February, but Perkins believes the middling state of the franchise could force a move in the coming months. Bam Adebayo will not be in a Miami Heat jersey at the end of this year. He will not finish the season in Miami. I believe it's time. Miami is nowhere close to being a playoff team, Perkins said. Stating that Miami is nowhere close to being a playoff team is ludicrous, particularly given they just did so, and now the Eastern Conference is considerably weaker after devastating leg injuries to Jason Tatum and Tyrese Haliburton. Not to mention that the Heat upgraded their roster with the smart addition of Norman Powell during the offseason, while they host a number of young players who should be on the improve. Perhaps it's that latter point as to why Adebayo might actually become available, with the emergence of second-year big man Kal-El were one of the rare positives for Miami in what was an otherwise disappointing 0-6 preseason, where averaged a team-leading 17.5 points and 11.5 rebounds on 38.1% three-point shooting in his 6 preseason games, but concerns still remain on his fit with Adebayo in the same front court, particularly while Tyler Herro remains sidelined by injury. The Warriors could put themselves towards the front of the queue if Adebayo does become available, with Brett Siegel of Clutch Points reporting at the start of the month that the franchise would have interest in the 5x all-defensive center. Unless they were willing to put veteran forward Draymond Green in a trade, Golden State wouldn't be able to pull off a deal for Adebayo until Jonathan Kuminga becomes trade eligible on January 15. How much trade value Adebayo has would also be interesting, especially considering the 28-year-old is about to start a 3-year, $161.4 million extension from next season. The Heat aren't in a position right now where they'd be willing to talk on an Adebayo trade with the Warriors, but perhaps that changes soon enough based on Perkins' comments. Jonathan Kuminga just proved why the Warriors didn't want him to leave. But is the longer bridge already burned? An exhausting summer of free agency negotiations may have caused us all to forget that Jonathan Kuminga can still be really good. On Tuesday night, in the Warriors' season opener against the Los Angeles Lakers, the 23-year-old was great. Even more exciting, that greatness came in the form of shooting and facilitation, 2 facets which Kuminga is not known for. He dished 6 assists, something he did exactly 1 time all of last year, and hit 4 3-pointers, something he did 0 times last year. Basically, Kuminga just played one of the most well-rounded and impactful games he's played since the start of last year. That's about as good a start as you could hope for from a guy who's faced questions about how much he wants to be in Golden State, and how much the team wants him to be there. But games like last night prove why any team would love a player like Kuminga. Or, more specifically, why any team would love the player Kuminga can be. What would a huge Jonathan Kuminga season mean for his future? I'm not really sure, to be honest. Of course, a player on the Warriors having a great year would be good for the Warriors. That's kind of the point of this whole thing. But Kuminga's deal, which has a team option next season, felt like it's structured this way so the Warriors can find a trade partner for him this year, and then that team could ink him to a long-term extension. However, I also think that came with the assumption that Kuminga would be mostly the same player he was last year, very good at times, but unreliable on a night-to-night basis. If he evolves into an elite connecting piece, I won't jump to any conclusions after one game, and provides positive impact every night, that complicates things, but maybe for the better. Because, despite the tension, Kuminga is still under team control for 2 seasons. On-court success can help rebuild bridges. So even if the relationship between the Warriors and Kuminga seemed frayed this summer, it could be saved by a leap from the fourth-year wing, which would in turn lead to assurance that he'll get a longer deal next summer. At that point, any past tension would be water under said bridge. If Kuminga plays anything like he did on Tuesday for the entire 2025-26 season, then a dramatic RFA saga will become ancient history. There's a reason that, despite it all, the Warriors made sure to get a deal done with the budding young talent. Moses Moody injury has sudden silver lining that could shift Warriors' title hopes. This might actually prove a good thing, as not convinced over 49ers, Colts records in Week 8 tiers. First things first. Moses Moody's calf injury was a disappointing element for the Golden State Warriors heading into opening night, but it might be just what Jonathan Kuminga needed to finally realize his potential after a long offseason full of contract drama. Moody's injury meant his fellow 2021 lottery pick got the start against the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday night, with Kuminga emerging as one of the biggest storylines from Golden State's 119-109 victory at Crypto.com Arena. Warriors may unlock Jonathan Kuminga thanks to Moses Moody's injury. Kuminga's preseason offered some optimism in regard to increased rebounding activity and awareness in moving the ball on offense. That translated in the first half against the Lakers, having recorded 5 rebounds and 5 assists as the Warriors took a 55-54 lead. The 23-year-old then became the star of the show in the third quarter, going for 13 points on a perfect 5 of 5 shooting that included a trio of hits from three-point range. Kuminga also had another beautiful dump-off pass to Al Horford on the drive, before closing the game and securing a big offensive rebound in the final moments that sealed Golden State's victory. The former 7th overall pick finished with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists on 6 of 11 shooting and 4 of 6 from beyond the arc, playing 33 minutes in what was a mature performance, which is exactly how Steve Kerr described it after the game. "He's really matured. I think he has a better understanding of what we need," Kerr said, via ESPN's Anthony Slater. "I think he just has a better sense of what's needed now compared to past years. I think Jimmy Butler has really helped him too. Jimmy has really talked to him a lot during camp. He's taken him aside after practices. Jonathan Kuminga doing it all for the Dubs." A performance like we saw on Tuesday night makes it easy to forget that Kuminga came off the bench in Golden State's first 2 preseason games. The Warriors would have started small against the Lakers regardless, given their desire to limit veteran center Al Horford to 20 minutes per game, but it would have been Moody in Kuminga's spot had the young wing been healthy. Without Moody's injury, Kuminga would have likely been in a bench role and perhaps limited to 18 to 20 minutes per game. His blistering start to the third quarter would never have happened, and maybe the defensive and rebounding engagement wouldn't have been so focused. The next question is whether it can become consistent, particularly in regard to the three-point shooting where Moody clearly has a major edge. There might be a time where Moody's shooting becomes more important, but based on this game, Kerr won't be rushing the former 14th overall pick back into the starting lineup. Kuminga also has an upside that gives him an edge over Golden State's other young players. If they can get this version of him on a consistent basis, that completely shifts their title hopes into becoming much more of a legitimate threat to the likes of the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets. Draymond Green advised against Warriors trade for All-Star forward. It's safe to say that Draymond Green has a lot of influence inside the Golden State Warriors organization. Green has been the heart and soul of the Warriors' defense since 2014, helping win 4 NBA championships. According to ESPN's Anthony Slater, Green advised the Warriors' ownership and front office against trading for Lauri Markkanen in the summer of 2024. The franchise was looking for another star after Klay Thompson left in free agency to sign with the Dallas Mavericks. While Markkanen seemed like a perfect fit in Golden State, the Utah Jazz were looking to get as many young players and draft picks as possible. Green wasn't going to let Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy Jr. risk the Warriors' future for a one-time All-Star. "I'm a big fan of Markkanen's game. But I think if you want to do something so huge, you better be certain that this is the move. You usually don't win those things against Danny Ainge. I look at history," Green said. Green was alluding to Ainge's reputation of fleecing other teams. He did it to the Brooklyn Nets in the early 2010s, then turned Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert into a huge stash of players and picks in 2022. Warriors traded for Jimmy Butler. The Warriors waited patiently and even had a fantastic start to last season because of their depth. However, they eventually struggled and were just a .500 team midway through the campaign. At last season's trade deadline, the Warriors acquired Jimmy Butler from the Miami Heat and signed him to a 2-year, $121 million extension. They went on an incredible 23-8 run to end the regular season. They advanced to the second round of the playoffs, falling short against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Warriors played without Steph Curry for the majority of that series because of injury. Jimmy Butler wasn't himself after suffering his own injury in the first round. Nevertheless, the franchise endured a long contract stalemate with Jonathan Kuminga this summer. They finally agreed on an extension during training camp, leading to the addition of Al Horford and Anthony Melton. Gary Payton too was also brought back, while Seth Curry is expected to get signed this November. While there are concerns about the age of Golden State's best players, Horford, who is 39, wasn't too worried about it, as reported by Dan Dempster of NBC Sports Bay Area. Green has bet with Butler this season. To liven up the new season, Draymond Green made a bet with Jimmy Butler regarding his free throw percentage. CBS Sports' Robbie Colland reported that Butler believes he can have a better percentage at the charity stripe this season than Steph Curry. "I got a bet with, I don't think it's a bad bet, but it's kind of a bad bet, with Dre that I got to shoot a better percentage than number 30 on our team," Butler said. Butler is an 84.3% career shooter from the free throw line, while Curry is the NBA's all-time leader in career free throw percentage at 91.1%. The greatest shooter ever also led the league in the same category last season at 93.3%. Play. Butler was off to a good start in the Warriors' season opener against the Los Angeles Lakers. He had 31 points and went 16-4-16 from the free throw line in their 119-109 road win. Curry was also a perfect 8-for-8, so it's a close battle to begin the season. Warriors will have problems throughout the season. Al Horford signed with the Warriors, replacing departing center Kevin Looney. Coach Kerr made an announcement about Horford even before the new season has started. Warriors may need young centers or trades to address depth concerns. Al Horford was one of the Golden State Warriors recruits during the offseason. The one-time NBA champion center signed a 2-year deal with the team as a free agent worth $11.7 million, which will keep him in Golden State through 2027. The Warriors brought Horford in with the expectation that the 18-year veteran will play a key role for the squad, perhaps even as the team's center. While this could still be the case for the 39-year-old this season, head coach Steve Kerr announced a big decision on Monday about Horford and his playing status for the entire 2025-26 campaign. Horford is coming off his second stint with the Boston Celtics. Last season, the 5-time All-Star averaged 9.0 points, 6.2 rebounds, 2.1 assists and 1.9 triples in 27.7 minutes per contest. Horford, however, played in just 60 of Boston's 82 games last term. The Warriors lost starting center Kevin Looney in free agency, with the 6'9" big man taking his talents to the New Orleans Pelicans on a 2-year, $16 million deal. Horford comes in as Looney's potential replacement in the starting lineup, But a preseason announcement from Kerr has the Warriors facing a significant roster problem. According to NBC Sports Bay Area reporter Dalton Johnson, Kerr revealed on Monday that Horford will not play in back-to-back games throughout the entire season. Golden State has 8 back-to-back sets scheduled in 2025-26, which means that Horford is already expected to miss at least 8 games this coming season. Considering how Horford is already at the tail end of his career, this does not come as a huge shock. However, it still poses a significant concern for the Golden State's frontcourt this year. Draymond Green has played center for the Warriors in the past, but this would force Steve Kerr to play a small lineup. This leaves Tracy Jackson-Davis and Quinton Post as options at the 5. While both are promising, they are also unproven. The Horford situation becomes even more problematic come playoff time. There are no back-to-back games in the postseason, but the schedules are more condensed, which could lead to more missed time for Horford. The hope for the Warriors is that one of their young centers will be able to fill the void. Trading for frontcourt depth will also be an option for this team. Either way, this is an issue that will need to be addressed.